Is that my cue or?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet.
Sergeant at Arms, please start your recordings.
Recording good.
You see recording to the clouds. Good.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's remote New York City Council hearing vote on the Committee on Consumer Affairs. At this time, would all panelists please turn on their video? Once again, all panelists, please turn on your video at this time. To minimize any disruptions, please place all electronic devices on silent. Chair Cohen, we are ready to begin.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Cohen, and I'm the chair of the Committee on Consumer Affairs and Business Licensing. Today, I guess first I should acknowledge we've been joined by council members Chin, Koo, Lander, Yeager, and Brannon.
What about me?
And Kozlowitz, but if I didn't write it down, it means you're not here. So sorry about that, Karen. Now you're here, Karen, and especially Councilmember Kozlowitz. Today, we will be voting on a pre-considered bill from Councilmember Reynoso that seeks to codify permanent outdoor dining and ensure that there is clarity regarding the use of heaters. New York City's restaurants struggle with very slim profit margins at the best of times. With ongoing restrictions in place due to the COVID pandemic, these margins are even smaller, and some restaurants have simply been unable to bear the losses. According to a report from the city controller, nearly 1,300 of the city's restaurants permanently closed between March and July of this year, and about 187,000 food and hospitality jobs have been lost. The city council has been proactive in doing what it can to alleviate the pain the COVID crisis has wrought on our city's food industry. And this committee in particular has been working to pass legislation to help restaurants and food establishments stay afloat. In addition to codifying outdoor dining through the passage of Intro 1957, we also enacted Intro 1916, which required the city to waive and refund consent fees related to sidewalk cafe licenses for the duration of the COVID emergency. The city council also passed a number of bills to limit the fees that third-party delivery platforms can charge restaurants that use their services. Today's legislation aims to further support this struggling industry, and will make outdoor dining a permanent feature of this city. The mayor recently announced that he plans to permit outdoor dining all year round, and this bill will codify the mayor's effort. Such measures are pivotal if we are to make up for the significant losses restaurants have faced, and will also assist toward the post-COVID revival and recovery of the city. This bill would also permit the use of propane and electric space heaters in outdoor dining areas, subject to guidance from the fire department. As the winter approaches, many restaurateurs have called for updates to the city's rules to allow for propane gas heaters, which are necessary to keep patrons warm and restaurants in business. Current rules prohibit propane gas heaters, despite the fact that they are permitted in numerous other cities. Until restaurants can reopen to full capacity, they are unlikely to generate the revenue they produced pre-COVID. However, the council will continue to use all of its authority to develop creative and helpful ways to mitigate some of the fallout. Our restaurant and hospitality industry are not only key providers of jobs and revenue, but they also add to the dynamism of this city. As such, we want to ensure that we can provide all the relief possible to this vital element of New York. And with that, I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Good afternoon. William Martin, Committee Clerk. Roll call vote in Committee on Consumer Affairs. Pre-considered introduction. Chair Cohen.
I vote aye. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you. Chin.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Koo.
We can't hear you, Peter.
Mr. Chair, can I explain my vote?
Now that I can hear you, you definitely can.
Thank you. Yeah. I want to say outdoor dining is an innovative program that brought life back to our neighborhoods during the summer. But extending this through the winter will require much more careful examination. Snow, ice, and wet weather will surely impact our sidewalks and streets and compete with dining space and pedestrians. We shouldn't ignore the benefits of the program, nor should we simply jump into making it permanent without seeing first how it will work during the more difficult winter months. The responsible thing to do would be to implement a pilot so we can monitor the program throughout the winter before codifying outdoor dining year-round. So for this reason, I will be abstaining. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Kozlowitz.
May I explain my vote?
Of course,
Well,
Councilman Kozlowitz.
Well, certainly I want to help small business in any way I possibly can. In this legislation, I really want to try it before I buy it. I'm worried about the winter months with the snow plows going down the street. I'm worried about how this is going to be implemented. And I really feel that at this point, I can't vote for a permanent solution until I see how it works out. So with that, I vote no.
Lander.
Permission to briefly explain?
Of course.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be voting in favor of today's legislation. I certainly hear the concerns folks have, and obviously it will be very important to monitor and pay attention and for us to be willing to come back and legislate again if we need to. But I certainly want to do what we can to help make it possible. I've been starting to bundle up. I was out yesterday in the rain at a great outdoor dining restaurant that had a little space heater, and it worked pretty well. I may be a broken record on this, but I'm going to keep doing it every time we take steps around supporting restaurants. It just remains very distressing to me that, even though we haven't done enough for restaurants, we've acted now for them a lot of times with nothing done for the workers who are in them around some of the protections that we could be expanding. Delivery workers who don't work for restaurants, but for app delivery, we could be ensuring have paid sick leave, and we have a move to do that. And those workers who are in fast food restaurants who have been asking us for over a year at this point for the just cause protections against unfair firings. I'm eager to see this council step up and support workers in these restaurants in addition to the restaurants themselves. I vote aye.
Brannon.
Permission to briefly explain my vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be voting aye. I share all of the concerns from Council Members Koo and Kozlowitz and certainly Councilman Lander. I also want to put on the record that it is now October 13th, and we are still waiting for the official guidance from the city on the outdoor heating situation. They teased it, and they still haven't given us the official guidelines as to what that's going to look like and what restaurants need to do. And certainly by passing this legislation, we're going to need that guidance yesterday, basically. So hopefully this will push the administration to finally come forward with what that guidance is going to look like. And I hope that the year-round outdoor dining is the one of very few silver linings that may come from the past 7 months of challenges that we've seen here in our city. So with that, I vote aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Yeager.
Mr. Chairman, may I be excused to explain my vote?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I too support the outdoor dining, although in my district, not many restaurants have been able to take advantage of it for a number of reasons, including that many of our restaurants don't have the frontage necessary for that, as Councilman Lander knows, because we share some of the same commercial areas. And also because of the nature of many of our restaurants being closed for some of the days of the week, it just simply wasn't worth the infrastructure investment in many cases. Still, my district is big and the city is big, and I supported it when we voted for this several months ago. But like Councilmember Kozlowitz and Councilmember Koo, and I don't know if I could be as eloquent as they, but I will say that calling this introduction pre-considered is certainly an understatement. I don't believe it's been considered at all. We have a winter in front of us. There is no reason to vote for this bill right now today when we can check just in a couple of months and see what the interplay between these roadway dining and, for example, our city's snowplows, the ability of store owners and homeowners to shovel and where are they going to put the snow as they remove it. How is this going, all of this going to interplay? And we have a chance to actually watch it and see what happens before we make this, a permanent thing. And as we step towards permanentizing something without actually even taking a chance, because there really is no rush to do it right now. We have the ability to extend the dining into the winter. Right now, it extends until December. We can extend it through the rest of the winter and give it a chance to work. So for that reason, I do support Section 1 of the statute of the bill, the proposed very pre-considered introduction to allow outdoor dining to have heating, because I think that's a necessary component to giving winter a shot. As Councilmember Kuhn, Councilmember Koslowitz said, let's try it before we buy it. And I also support Section 3 to extend briefly into next year, into 21, to the conclusion of the winter to actually see this work. I do believe in many neighborhoods this has been very successful, and I say very successful only to the extent that the option was closure, and very successful means opening. And to the extent that we can get any business open just a little bit, that's at least some success. But with those reservations, and as my colleagues have said, I will unfortunately have to join them in voting no, with great respect for those who know that restaurants need this extra helping hand. And I certainly have spoken in this committee and on the floor about the need to get restaurants back in business, to get businesses back in business in our city. But for that, Mr. Chair, I vote no.
Thank you. By a vote of 4 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative, and 1 abstention, pre-considered proposed introduction has been adopted by the committee.
I really do just once again, I don't want to forget to really thank the staff for making these virtual hearings possible. There is an enormous amount of organization that needs to go into it, and a lot of work and a lot of prep. So I really just want to thank all of the staff that makes these go as smoothly as they do. And with that, that concludes this committee meeting of Consumer Affairs.